Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 1 of season 2 of our F1 Manager McLaren career mode. Yes, I apologise. Originally I said this video would be going live over the weekend. I once again had some PC issues, so it's a little bit late, but we are back once more with the start, like I said, of this new season. The scores have been reset. Everyone is back on 0 points, and we are really hoping this is going to be the year that we get McLaren towards the top there. Of course, we've kept our driver lineup of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. There has been quite a lot of big moves, though, around the order there. Big 3 teams staying absolutely identical there. Bottas has been joined by Fernando Alonso down at Alfa Romeo. That is definitely going to be a team to watch over the course of this year. Gasly has stayed, obviously, at AlphaTauri. He hasn't gone back there. This is where things get a little bit confusing. Ocon, of course, has stayed at Alpine. Magnussen has stayed at Haas. Zhou Guanyu has gone to Aston Martin. Sebastian Vettel has joined Pierre down at AlphaTauri. I'm still not quite sure how or why. Lance Stroll is over at Williams. Back, even, I should say, to Williams. Yuki Tsunoda has gone to Haas. Mick Schumacher has also gone to Williams there, with Alex Albon and Daniel Ricciardo now at Aston Martin and Alpine respectively there. So a lot of movement, and actually most of the drivers have gone back to teams they've been with in the past. So things are going to get quite crazy. Of course, we're here, ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix. I don't think there's anywhere where you can sort of just get a direct car comparison, is there, between every single team. But we're looking pretty good. You know, we're better than the grid average on a lot of components now. You know, that wasn't the same story last season. And even the ones we aren't far away from, we are really close as well. So I think we've got a good car this season. When we compare it to the likes of Alpine, still reckons they're better than us. That was probably not the best example. Alfa Romeo, is that going to be any better? Yeah, we'll see what happens then, I suppose. But let's get into it, though. Bahrain Grand Prix, the start of a new season. Hopefully, we can take what we've learnt from Season 1 and really try to push forward.
Welcome to the archipelago of Formula 1. Bahrain might have a small land footprint, but it's showing its big spirit right now in the grandstands. Either way, it's time for another fantastic weekend of Grand Prix racing. The Bahrain International Circuit is a challenging track, and the cars routinely have to brake from high gear to low to take the narrow turns. With the need for downhill braking, the risk of locking up is one drivers will need to manage. It's all about focus and balance to get victory here. At this early stage in the season, there are still plenty of opportunities for things to change. In this sport, there simply are no guarantees. There's nothing like a race weekend in Formula 1.
Right, well, here we are then. Bahrain, and of course, luckily, we're not going to see any crazy weather to kick-start the year. But always like coming back to this circuit, of course. It's going to be interesting to see how we stack up relative to how McLaren did in real life. I mean, to be honest, if we perform as badly as they did, I'm probably going to be in quite a lot of trouble. But we shall wait and see. Just got to make sure we obviously get all the numbers tweaked where we need it. Of course, Bahrain, yeah, very high-speed circuit as well. So, yeah, trying to make sure that we've got good top-end speed is going to be critical here. And, of course, I completely forgot as well that we've got...
Green light.
I thought that was George Russell then for a second. That really did throw me off. But, yeah, now, obviously, we've got our new engineers in as well, of course, poaching as many members of staff as we possibly could from the bigger teams, you know, the Mercedes, the Ferraris of this world. Let's wait and see whether that gives us any extra performance as we head into the new year there. But first car's out on track, just like we were pretty much the entirety of last season. I just want to try and get some lap times on the board, and I've got to make sure as well... nope, that's not the ones I was looking for. I think, yeah, here we go. We'll avoid curbs and we'll drive in clear air. Get as much data as we can without, you know, stressing the engine out all too much. Ooh, there we go. That's a nice way to start the year. Oscar Piastri very happy with the car. Less than 15 minutes in. Car feels great, apparently, as we've got yellow flags out somewhere. Can't see anyone that's stopped, so... And Lando Norris as well, looking pretty happy with the car. Not as happy as Oscar Piastri, but still pretty happy very early on this weekend. That is what we love to see. I mean, I'm well aware it is still far too early in the weekend to be making any general assumptions here, but Verstappen, Hamilton and Leclerc, all covered by less than 0.2 of a second, is rather impressive there. Sainz, sorry, just ahead of Gasly and both Alfa Romeos there. I think they are really going to be ones to watch this year, especially with those two drivers, of course. Inside F1 Manager, arguably the strongest lineup, I suppose, on the grid. You know, Bottas is just an absolute baller on this game, and Alonso is pretty much the same there. You know, they were both able to match top drivers' times over the course of last year. We are definitely going to have our work cut out against them this season, I feel. But, of course, big focus at the moment is just trying to get as much lap time as we possibly can into the circuit. You know, get the drivers confident with the car, get them confident with the track, and you can see they're both slowly rising up the ranks. Oh, here we go. Just under 20 minutes left of the session. I mean, clearly Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri both trying to defend from other cars. Oscar not so happy with the balance apparently now, as he's got the number 23 of Alex Albon just behind him. I tell you what, as a content creator, it is so difficult now to try and commentate over these. Once you sort of get a few seasons in, I've got the same with F1 22, drivers have just gone to so many random places now that you can't really work out who's where anymore. I know, obviously, real-life commentators struggle with the same thing. And F1 Manager seems to have some weirder driver moves than F1 22 does as well. I'm not complaining about it, it's just very, very difficult, and, I mean, it is really only an issue that a very, very small group of people will have. Lando Norris, though, how is he feeling? It's all good, it's a cool car to drive. I hope that's a good sign. Oscar Piastri, though, not so confident now with the braking, so I think we'll revert him back to the setup he was on. He seemed very, very happy with it. And I think, yeah, we're basically ready then to jump into qualifying.
Thank you for joining us as we proceed to qualifying and the fight for pole begins. Excitement is really picking up here today, the anticipation continuing to grow within the paddock. With free practice now over, drivers will have to know this circuit inside and out if they're to gain a strong position on the grid. 20 cars take to the track, all with aspirations of taking pole. Strap yourselves in. This is Formula One.
Right, well, having a look then at our final free practice data. Charles Leclerc fastest there, but it looks like the battle between Ferrari and Red Bull from last season is going to rage on. I mean, the Big Six are still the Big Six, but Alpine, Alfa Romeo, McLaren, we are all not far away as we head into Season 2 there. Oscar Piastri struggled a little bit more, but yeah, it's going to be so tight in the midfield. Seems like Williams and Aston Martin still lacking a little bit at the rear of that group, but yeah, Gasly putting 6/10 over Sebastian Vettel as well. There's going to be a lot to watch out for. Let's get into it though. Q1, I'm not going to try and take any big risks early on in the year. We just want to try and gather as much data as we can there, as both drivers are pretty happy with the cars they've got underneath them. Let's send them out for their first run. Right, Lando Norris then starting his first run then here in qualifying. We've got a car stopped down at turn 1. I think that might be a Red Bull. Is Max Verstappen having issues here? Lando Norris has stopped as well, and there's immediately a pile-up. Looks like Max Verstappen has done something silly, but we're not getting yellow flags, and we've got a red flag. So what has the Dutchman done in towards that first corner there? That is, I don't think I've ever seen a red flag in qualifying on F1 Manager, to be completely honest. But Max Verstappen then, I mean, we can't, there's no real point in changing anything on the car. Apparently we can't even see what he's done, so we'll leave both drivers on the tyres they were on. No point doing anything with that. Yep, Max Verstappen's bottled it, and we don't know how or why. Well, I don't know now if the Dutchman is going to be able to get a lap time in here in qualifying. Maybe it was just a technical issue with the car. I don't really know, but Oscar Piastri then back out onto the circuit. 6 minutes left of the session, so it is now quite tight for time here. I mean, hopefully we can try and make it through on one run. He's 4 minutes off the pace. Now, that is impressive for Oscar Piastri there. Lando Norris, will he go quicker than his teammate? No. He will go even slower there. 4 minutes 2 as someone span. That's a Ferrari by the looks of it. Charles Leclerc with issues. Doesn't seem to have damaged the wing. But yeah, clearly going far too aggressively then down at the end of the middle sector. And just the back end breaks free over that curbing on the exit. Luckily, he's got plenty of room to avoid a barrier. But yeah, not ideal for him. We've got to make sure that both our cars get a lap time on the board if clearly so many other drivers are struggling. And it's been a pretty tidy lap for the most part as we head down through the final corner, though, up towards the start-finish line. Where will the young Australian go? Of course, returning to Bahrain, P9. Little way off Magnussen and Ocon there, but not the end of the world. Lando Norris, of course, has been quicker early on this weekend. Will he be able to slot himself up inside that top 10? He will go into P9. Less than half tenth, though, clear of Oscar Piastri, so clearly not as confident as we originally thought. And I don't think I've got enough time for another run. as that is an incredibly slow Aston Martin of Zhou Guanyu. That surely has got to be an issue. Well, there we go then, into Q2 nice and safely there, but Carlos Sainz with a mega lap time, only car into the 1 minute 30s. Out in Q1, Sebastian Vettel, both Aston Martins and both Williams there. So yeah, the AlphaTauri driver, 4 tenths still behind Pierre Gasly, of course, back returning to the team that gave him his first full-time gig in Formula 1 all those years ago. Certainly has not been the start to the year he wanted. Let's see if we can try and scrape one car into Q3, but haven't quite made the leap forward I was hoping. Right, let's ride on board then with Oscar Piastri for a lap around the Sakir International Circuit with the all-new 2023 McLaren car. Then out of the final corner, cycles up those gears as we head back down towards turn 1 there. Can we get a little bit more information on the telemetry? Yes, we can. 315 kilometers an hour as he heads his way in towards that first corner. Got a little bit of traffic from the Mercedes in front of him. Might be able to give him a handy slipstream. Luckily, he doesn't lift the throttle out that time round there as he heads up the hill in towards turn 4. Braking there just at the entry on the curbing. Third gear on the way in. A little bit hesitant on the way out, but, you know, this is F1 Manager, so haven't quite got to worry about that all too much. They're nice and tidy as he plunges down the hill through the middle sector. Just make sure he gets that car nicely over the curbing down in towards the hairpin there. Looks like Daniel Ricciardo, Esteban Ocon, both within 7 tenths there of the fastest time set by Max Verstappen. Sainz 7 tenths away from the time he did in Q1, so clearly he's got a lot more pace in the car. And yeah, I mean, Magnussen 1,000th of a second away behind the Alpine just in front of him there. Charles Leclerc only good enough for 7th place as well, so I wonder if some of those cars have done a run on their old scrub set of tyres there, as Oscar Piastri half a tenth clear of Lando Norris come the end of Sector 1. Lando's got a little bit of traffic from George Russell in front. We can see the Alfa Romeo there just in the way of Oscar Piastri as we head down in towards the final corner. Hopefully we'll let him by. Just about got a little bit sketchy as I think Lando's made it around George as well without any issues. 2 tenths down though, so he definitely is struggling here on the first run in Q2. Over the start-finish line though, Oscar Piastri 31.7 puts him P3. Clear of Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon, so a really, really good lap time by the young Australian. Lando Norris, I'm going to guess, is going to be about 4 tenths away from that. Probably goes into 9th. No, he goes 8th, just ahead of George Russell. That is a promising sign. Well, the margins are certainly tight then here in Bahrain. It really does look like so many of the teams in the midfield have leapt forward towards those front runners there. Max Verstappen still fastest ahead of Carlos Sainz, but Bottas half a second away, Oscar Piastri half a second away, and the top 10 covered. I mean, everyone covered by just 9 tenths of a second there. George Russell currently down in the drop zone. I'm sure he'll be looking to try and make it through into Q3, and Charles Leclerc just on the cusp as well. But we'll stay with Lando Norris then for this final run in Q2, hoping we can try and get both cars in towards that second qualifying session there. Leclerc suddenly jumps up back down into the 1 minute 30s. Ferrari now have both their drivers into the 1 minute 30s over this session. No other team has been able to do that as Lando Norris then. What is the sector time going to be at the end of Sector 1? He's down, and he's down by quite a margin there. Still, well, 1,000th of a second clear of Oscar Piastri, but really does not look like our cars, maybe just the track getting a bit too cool towards the end. Carlos Sainz goes faster than Leclerc, immediately jumps himself up to fastest in Q2 there, as Kevin Magnussen will stay in P6. Looks like a lot of cars are struggling there. Alonso improves, knocks Oscar Piastri down the order as Ocon goes into 4th place there, clear of Sergio Perez. Oscar Piastri is now right on the cusp here as he heads towards the end of Sector 2. He's found time in that second sector, but now both of our cars are in the drop zone as George Russell improves, goes straight up into P2 there. Max Verstappen has gone fastest onto a 1 minute 30.792 there, a mega lap by the Dutchman there, as Sergio Perez, of course, has gone back up into P5. Magnussen out in Q2. Alonso out in Q2 for his first race with Alfa Romeo there. Oscar Piastri, will he improve through the final corner? No, he won't. It's P13 for Oscar Piastri. Will Lando Norris be able to find anything as we head up towards the line? It's a 31.7. He will go into P13 there, 5 thousandths away from Fernando Alonso, but that is both our cars out in Q2. Well, I can't lie, a bit of a disappointing way to end Q2, qualifying here even, I should say, from the Bahrain Grand Prix. But yeah, that midfield is so tightly bunched. 3 tenths away from Esteban Ocon there. I don't think we can be too upset about either. And yeah, less than a second of the fastest times as well. This season, I feel, is going to be spicy. Let's get into it, though. Ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
The time has come for these drivers to fight it out wheel to wheel. Race day has arrived.
McLaren did a decent job during qualifying. This is a solid grid position, and it certainly has the potential to lead to good race results. We saw a reasonable push from Mercedes in qualifying, and they'll have plenty of opportunities here to achieve a great result. And the clouds today look very ominous, which means that teams may have to contend with rain at some point during the race.
And there's going to be a lot for the teams to handle. So will the drivers and their cars be able to cope with the pressure? Let's find out right here at the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Well, the start of a new season then is always an interesting test for both driver and machine, of course. Here we are, back in Sakhir. And yeah, 13th and 14th on the grid was not quite where I wanted to be. Sorry, that's free practice results there. I got very, very confused for a brief moment. But yeah, in terms of strategy, though, no chance of rain. I don't know what Karun Chandok was smoking there to believe that could be a possibility. Two-stop seems to be the way to go, though, according to the strategist. So I think, you know, we'll go with a fairly aggressive two-stop then for both of our drivers. Soft, medium, soft. We want to try and be as quick as possible throughout a lot of this GP. I'm going to put the extra tiny bit of fuel into the car there. I feel like even if we lose a place off the start, it is well worth it. But we've just got to keep our cool, focus on trying to get both cars to the line, and just trying to play the strategy game. Let's get into it. Bahrain GP time.
Cloudy skies tonight, with the drivers now having taken position on the grid. And there's Lando Norris. With their starting position in the back 10, they'll have their work cut out for them. And it's the other McLaren. They're starting in the bottom half of the grid today, so there's a lot of cars between them and the podium. Everything's been building to this. And this is it, the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Good start there by Carlos Sainz at the front of the field. Charles Leclerc will try and get a run on him as we head down towards turn 1. Lando Norris stays ahead of Oscar Piastri there and might be under a bit of pressure from Yuki Tsunoda and his Haas car there. As look at Lando trying to go down the middle through turn 1. Everyone just trying to keep it fairly clean and tidy. He's still 3 wide off the corner there, as it looks like, oh no, Tsunoda has got the jump on both of them off the corner. So Lando Norris really just was in the wrong place at the wrong time there through that first corner, and a big gap already opening up to the cars in front there. 3 wide just further back of Sebastian Vettel with his protege Mick Schumacher alongside him there. It looks like Alex Albon was on the outside of that, just trying to make it through those first couple of corners as well. But it looks like everyone has survived the start. There are no major issues. Everyone as well on a set of soft compound tyres here for the start of this race. But of course, yeah, fuel is going to be quite critical over the space of the afternoon. There isn't much play around with it. It is a very, very much a fuel burning circuit. There are a lot of full throttle elements to the Sakhir International Circuit. But Sainz, of course, we saw him lead by far and away his best championship up until about Monza last year, and then it all completely fell apart. It should have absolutely been Carlos Sainz's world title, but Max Verstappen snookered it away from Ferrari come the end of the year. But the Dutchman only in 5th place at the start of Season 2 there. Bottas just behind him there, as George Russell, I think, had some issues in Q3 there. Started a bit further back down the rostrum than we were originally anticipating. But I think, yeah, early on in this race, we've just got to be sensible. We've got to play the long game. I think what we really want to do is just settle in, get a few laps under our belt before we really worry about pushing too aggressively. I think this is going to be the fascinating thing, of course, as we start Season 2, because so many of the midfield runners are closer to the top pack. Leclerc now has taken the lead from Carlos Sainz there, just as I went on board there, through up the inside at turn 10. Is a rather audacious little move. Sergio Perez watching on in just behind them. But yeah, I mean, the top guys are going to really struggle to break out of DRS here. Looks like Bottas, it's both Alfa Romeos, I think, and Alex Albon that are the only cars that won't have DRS early on in this GP. So I'm going to try with Lando Norris and just sort of see what run we can get back down towards someone. They're on Yuki Tsunoda in front of it. We know just how quick those Haas cars can be in a straight line. As Tsunoda already trying to go on the defensive there, but Lando Norris to the inside of the Haskar is certainly going to try and look for it. Back in towards that first corner. Down the inside he'll go. Lando Norris tries to make the move stick, but we know Tsunoda will give you a car's width and nothing more ever in the world of Formula 1. A brilliant little defender is Yuki Tsunoda, but we've made it through. We're back into P13 with Lando Norris then, so clearly the car has got some very, very competitive straight line speed here. But Magnussen, yeah, trying to apply pressure to Alonso. We could, if we get past those two, be right on the cusp of the points already, but George Russell just starting to open up that gap. Right, here we go then. Oscar Piastri, let's see if he can try and get a run then back down towards someone there. Lando Norris, new fastest lap of the day, so I think the fastest lap bonus points are pretty much going to be available for anyone early on this season as well there. But yeah, not close enough to Yuki back down in towards someone there. We'll see if we can use some deploy out of the first corner, as I'd heard reports that Ocon had made a bit of a mistake, but clearly still where he was in this GP there. Look at the run. Oscar Piastri's gotten Tsunoda as we head back up the hill, though, to the inside of the Haskar. And Yuki Tsunoda got past both our drivers at turn 1, but he won't be ahead of them anymore. Straight back up then into 14th and 13th. It's not brilliant, but it's better than it was. Oh, we've got a car running wide, apparently down in Sector 3. That looks to be Sergio Perez in his Red Bull. So Perez then will drop down the order there. And I mean, look at that train of cars from the front of the field there. Ferrari, side by side, back down towards turn 1, but it looks like Sainz has completed the move once more for the lead there. Verstappen now promoted up into the podium places, so the 3 that fought for the title last year have moved back up into the top 3 in this Grand Prix. Lando Norris, of course, up into 12th place there, as Oscar Piastri into 14th, and Perez not far away from that front group. But yeah, 14th, 15th to 1st is still pretty much in this train. Tsunoda, I think, has got the jump back on Oscar Piastri. Is no Lando Norris running wide at the top of the hill. Get back on the road, man. Come on, get on with it. Get on with it. P15 then for Lando. He's just dropped back off that train slightly and will have done a number on his tyres as well. DRS not available. We've got a VSC. I think that's Verstappen. So Red Bull's weekend going from bad to worse there. He's kicked up a load of debris as well. So what has the Dutchman done? We've had multiple cars involved, apparently. Has he collided with Lewis Hamilton then? I don't think it's... no, we may as well box Lando, actually, I suppose. Try and go a little bit of an alternate strategy with him. But what has happened to Verstappen then? Just behind Lewis... Sorry, just in front of Lewis Hamilton then. Has he locked up and hit the wall? Oh, that got... What on earth is that? So he runs wide, rejoins in front of Lewis Hamilton, parks the bus, and then they collided about half a mile an hour there. But Red Bull having an absolute disaster early on this weekend. I think he's damaged the floor, so Verstappen showering the circuit in sparks. That might be him out then of the Grand Prix. He does seem to be wanting to try and get on with it. I don't know whether the Dutchman's out or not, to be completely honest. Well, look then at the strategy. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz both into the pit lane. Then Hamilton, Ocon, everyone is pouring into the pit lane then. Daniel Ricciardo as well. So Gasly's opting to stay out. And a lot of the other midfields are. I guess, of course, for those front runners, it was probably going to be worth it because they had about 15% less tyre wear than everyone else. So they were already, running down towards the 50% mark. So Oscar Piastri then up now into P6 of this race. Lando Norris then, where's he going to re-emerge? Looks like he's getting held up slightly. That must have been behind Sergio there, but yeah, Verstappen has limped back then to the pit lane. Albon now up inside the points there, as of course Leclerc will have lost out a little bit and has re-emerged alongside Zhou Guan Yu. So yeah, we have got a cheap pit stop out of this, as Lando Norris is going to be in a Red Bull sandwich. Is Verstappen out of the Grand Prix? No, it looks like he's continuing on. But all of those other cars have gone hards. I've gone mediums. What was that a mistake? Right, okay, lap 11 then. It was a rather long virtual safety car here in Bahrain. But yeah, race has resumed. Lando Norris then down in P19. Oscar Piastri in P6 there. But I don't think anyone had on their bingo card Pierre Gasly with a 3-second lead. Just 10 laps in. George Russell still in P2 there. But he's got Alonso, Magnussen and just this whole train behind him that drops back down to P7 and a Sebastian Vettel. Sainz a little bit further back in some clear air though. He's really benefited from this VSC. He is looking strong as Leclerc's got to try and get past Mick Schumacher and Alex Albon. Oh, here we go. Lando Norris stuck behind Daniel Ricciardo and Sergio Perez battling through the final couple of corners. Can we try and get a run out of the final turn? Here we go. Look at this. DRS enabled for Daniel Ricciardo, but Lando Norris has got the luxury of the double DRS there as we head back down towards turn 1. And Sergio Perez is not going to lose one spot. He might lose 2 here as well. Lando Norris trying to get to the inside of Daniel Ricciardo as well. No, just parks it nicely on the apex there. Sergio Perez was not going to give up without a fight, but medium tyres against the hard. Surely we've got a bit of an advantage there, as he's immediately going to try and switch to the inside of Daniel Ricciardo as well, as we head up the hill to the inside of his former teammate. He'll go there, of course. Daniel Ricciardo, first race back in Formula 1, and he's been mugged by the man that kept mugging him off back in his McLaren days. Lando Norris P17, but he is on a different strategy. There we go, starting to see a few other cars into the pit lane then. Bottas now down in P14. Magnussen apparently locking up hasn't cost him all too much, as we're still only at 1/4 distance in this race. Already, it feels like a lot has happened there, but yeah, not really, you know, Oscar even just kind of staying in the middle zone at the moment there. George Russell, Fernando Alonso battling it out as the Alfa Romeo up into P2 then, but Oscar Piastri's doing what he needs to. He's keeping those Haas cars close in front of him. Lando Norris then up into P16 by virtue of Zhou Guanyu pitting. There's no real point in burning through battery or ERS at the moment, just when everyone's stuck in a DRS train, because you'll jump past someone and they'll just re-jump you. Gasly then the first of those midfield cars that hadn't pit into the boxes. There we go. Alonso, Magnussen, Sebastian Vettel will all join him. We want to try and get Oscar Piastri. Maybe we'll go 1, maybe we'll go 2 laps longer. I wouldn't mind if he led a lap early on in this season, but I wonder now if the Haas car is just going to have lost the DRS to George Russell in front of him. So are we going to try and get a run up the hill? No, he's still got the DRS, sadly, off of the Mercedes. But yeah, I mean, look at this. Oscar Piastri even still trying to get to the inside of Yuki Tsunoda. 21 versus 22. And Oscar Piastri's done it then, up into P2 of the Grand Prix. But I think, yeah, we'll box at the end of this lap onto those mediums. So Lando Norris is going to have like 20% more wear pretty much between now and the end of the Grand Prix. But look at that, he's back up into the top 10 as well. So this has not worked out too badly for us. He's got about 5 seconds over the cars he would have been battling with. If we just play it sensible, I think we're not doing too bad. Oscar Piastri then into the pit lane. George Russell staying out there for 1 extra lap. So yeah, pretty much then made it 1/3 distance in this Grand Prix, which is not bad going by either the Haas or the McLaren cars here. I'm hoping we won't get held up by any traffic a bit further back. Come on, nice clean tidy stop, 2.4. Beautiful little pit stop there for the McLaren squad, as we should stay ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, but we are going to re-emerge then outside of the points in this Grand Prix. We're going to be out in, I think, P12. I think Alonso will just get the jump on us as well. So, yeah, as long as we're back ahead of Sebastian Vettel, that's quite good. And, I mean, if, yes, Tsunoda and Vettel can fight back down towards turn 1, of course, Sebastian Vettel filling that vacant seat left by Yuki. Now we're just behind Alonso. We're trying to apply pressure, get past him before we close it to the DRS. Here we go. Fernando Alonso with no DRS to defend himself. Surely this one could be a nice textbook move as we head back down in towards that first corner. He's going to try and go defensive from Oscar Piastri, and I don't think Oscar's going to try and go for it there. As George Russell actually, yeah, stayed out a bit too long and has re-emerged behind our McLaren car there. So Gasly is still looking in a very, very good position here, but I don't think anyone looks like they can really muscle sights out. 12 seconds clear as we close in on half distance. But to the inside, oh, here we go. Oscar Piastri there, a daring overtake to the inside of Fernando Alonso, and he's made it work. And now both of our cars back into the points then of the Bahrain Grand Prix. They're at 1/3 distance. Oscar Piastri there, beautiful little move, similar to what Hamilton tried on Alonso in real life there, but got the car nicely tucked in. Now he's got to get in the DRS. I think now, though, we've just got to be really, really methodical in this Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc, Esteban Ocon battling for P2. But yeah, this battle just extends all the way down to P12. George Russell. But of course, as soon as you make an overtake, you just got to lose it again to another car there. So I think we're just going to try and sit patiently as Oscar Piastri, new fastest lap of the day. We can definitely try and bag that fastest lap bonus point as well. But I think we've just got to try and get to the second round of pit stops and see where we end up. Because at the moment, yeah, perhaps the ground effect in these new regulations working too well that everyone's now so close that no one can do anything. We're almost at half distance here, and still half the field are in one train. It's half distance now, and just nothing is happening. At the moment, you occasionally get a car that overtakes one and then just gets jumped back again. Oscar Piastri apparently now has been that car. It's Alonso just making the move on the young Australian.
Now watch this.
He's come from a very long way back, but yeah, he's just slipped up the inside there, and this is what I mean. Of course, you can't really manufacture those moves on F1 Manager because it just doesn't really work like that. But occasionally you just get a weird little move like that that makes perfect sense in real life. Don't know why the team is so gutted. Yeah, it makes perfect sense in real life, just doesn't tend to happen on the game. As long as we keep both cars in this train, though, it's game on for late on. Here we go. Lando Norris just moaning a bit about tyres. So I think we're going to have to try and box him at the end of this lap then. We've already had one of the other cars into the pits. Daniel Ricciardo into the pit lane then. So yeah, I think obviously Oscar's going to be able to go softs to the end. Lando Norris will have to go mediums there, of course. We did take the gamble. You know, we tried to split the strategies up over that safety car period. But yeah, Lando Norris definitely struggling a little bit right towards the end of the stint. We'll give him full deploy on this lap there just to make sure that he can defend from Pierre Gasly behind him. But yeah, Sainz 15-second lead out front. He's just watched these, well, he hasn't watched these cars. These cars have been battling behind him and he's just been able to waltz on at the front of the field. He's pretty much going to have a pit stop margin over everyone. As Max Verstappen update, he is closing in on this big train. But of course, as it's been thinned out a bit, he's still, yeah, a little way back. Here we go then. Lando Norris joins Valtteri Bottas into the pit lane then. So clearly the Alfa Romeo car as well, just struggling a little bit on his tyre life, as Perez has apparently span again. Turn 11 this time round, so I must have missed that one. Trying to apply pressure to Lewis Hamilton, and similar incident to what Charles Leclerc did back in qualifying, but that gives us a bit of breathing room there, and Red Bull are having an absolute disaster to kickstart the year there. Both drivers making mistakes, and where is Lando going to re-emerge? Is he going to be ahead of Ricciardo? I think that's going to be his battle between now and the end of the afternoon. I think he's going to be out just behind Daniel Ricciardo, as Norris has got the jump on Bottas, though, somehow. So yeah, Daniel Ricciardo back out in P14. He is also on the mediums. We'll let Lando just try and push to stick with him. Yeah, he's used a lot of battery, though, on this last lap. There we go. Nice, easy move made on Daniel Ricciardo almost immediately there. Pierre Gasly losing the place to Oscar as well. It's the battle of the P's as we head down at the end of Sector 2. Nice simple move there. Don't often see moves in that DRS zone, but certainly a good one there as, yeah, Norris past Daniel Ricciardo. So Oscar Piastri then back up onto the podium places. Where will Norris come out ahead or around Ocon and Charlie Boy here? This could be quite a big undercut for both Ricciardo and Lando there. As, are we going to get the jump? Yes, we are. Daniel Ricciardo gets back past Lando Norris, but Charles Leclerc has certainly lost out big style in that one. The battle for the podium is certainly raging on between a lot of cars. There we go. Oscar Piastri into the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. We are going to peel him into the pits at the end of this lap. Hasn't actually got any completely fresh sets of tyres, so I have to bought him on one of the sets that was used in Q2 there. But Lando Norris back up into P8, so he's looking really, really good at the moment there. I mean, he's only 10 seconds behind Carlos Sainz, so he's actually got quite a good jump on the Spaniard in all of this, to the inside of Yuki Tsunoda as well. That's what we like to see. So Lando Norris has just got to push on a little bit over these next couple of laps. But yeah, Oscar Piastri, though, like I said, is going to peel into the pit lane. 18 laps to the end of the Grand Prix on one set of mediums is... on one set of softs is not too difficult either. But yeah, Lando just putting a bit of distance between himself and some of the other cars. Lando Norris is genuinely in the fight for a podium here. He's just got to try and break free there. So I'm going to set him just to deploy for this lap. Just try and build up that gap ahead of Charlie Boy. And then we can try and manage towards the end there. As Ricciardo now trying to make a move on Yuki Tsunoda. Don't think he's going to be able to pull that one off. So if we can get Ricciardo out of the DRS range, this is working beautifully at the moment for Lando Norris there. It all just is now finally slotting into place. Oscar Piastri, though, down through the final couple of turns, will be heading back into the pit lane then. So Carlos Sainz, yeah, it's a matter of when rather than if he's, of course, is going to retake the lead in this Grand Prix. I don't believe, yeah, there's no chance any of those other three cars are going to try and go to the end of the Grand Prix. So, yeah, Lando Norris then running up in well, it will be a net P3, but of course Perez still needs to pit. Of course, after that spin, he really has set himself backwards. New fastest lap of the day for Lando Norris. Over one lap, we have been mega throughout a lot of this weekend. Oscar Piastri, though, is going to re-emerge, looks like P12, but he's going to have softer tyres to the end of this Grand Prix. We've just got to play it sensible and smart with Oscar there. We're going to allow him to burn through most of that spare fuel. Points are definitely not out of the question today. Here we go. Alonso Gasly back into the pit lane then. So Lando Norris should be up then into P2. He's still got Charles Leclerc just over a second behind him. So those are the cars he's going to be battling with between now and the end of the Grand Prix. Will Oscar Piastri get the jump on the Alfa Romeo and the Alfa Tauri car as well? It looks like he will. So Oscar Piastri then back into P8 then of this GP. We are looking really, really good here with just 15 laps to go. We've just got to go play it sensible. Lando Norris might come under pressure, but I mean, Ricciardo and Leclerc are battling so much. We might get Lando into a situation there where he's just pulling away from those cars behind, similar to what Sainz was able to do in the second run. Can we get Piastri close to that gaggle? Oh no, here goes Charles Leclerc on Lando Norris. I think the Ferrari might still just be a little bit too fast to really do anything against there. It's slightly under now on the fuel, so into P3 we'll go, but if we can hang close to Charlie Boy late on in the afternoon, it's far from the end of the world just yet. We've just got to hope those cars behind continue to battle. And yeah, Lando Norris has now just got to be a little bit sensible. Don't start going for moves on Charles Leclerc, man, please. Just sit behind him. We can take P3, it's fine. 10 laps to go then. Lando Norris is doing just what I wanted him to, sitting behind Charles as we head back down towards turn 1 there. Ricciardo, you can see, still battling with Alonso. Ocon and Bottas there, so it is allowing Lewis Hamilton at the very least to get a bit closer. Max Verstappen is a man on a mission at the moment, trying to get a run on Sergio Perez. We're just going to have to bring him back down onto the equal fuel mode, I think. Yeah, point's definitely possible here for Oscar Piastri. He's shredding through those tyres a bit more than I would have wanted, but he should be safe for P10 towards the end. It might just be, oh, here we go, Lando Norris trying to make a move work on Charles Leclerc again. Don't know why, I've told him just to sit behind the Ferrari at the moment. But yeah, Lando, just get the podium, mate. We'd love to walk away with some silverware. Here we go. Oscar Piastri looks like he's going to lose the place to George Russell then as we head down towards the end of Sector 2. I think, yeah, if we slot in behind Verstappen as well, we can try and just hang on to their coattails late on in the day. Bono absolutely right there. Don't worry about it all too much. How is tyre life looking for some of the other cars? We're pretty much where you would expect. Max Verstappen seems to be the one that might struggle towards the end of this GP, but yeah, Lando Norris moaning about overheating the tyres. Stop pushing like a maniac then to try and get back past Charles Leclerc. It's really simple for Lando, but are we going to see Oscar lose the place to the Dutchman as we head back in towards that first corner? It might be that I try and go for a bit of a sneak attack on Charles, on the final lap there, but yeah, Oscar Piastri now with the help of the DRS from George Russell. I'm not too worried if the Dutchman gets him, as long as he stays close to this group to keep him ahead of Seb. Oh, Hamilton and Verstappen both peeling into the pit lane then late on in the day. 6 laps to go here in Bahrain, and that is a big surprise. So are some of the other drivers still struggling on tyre wear there? Sainz might have to pit again before the end of this Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel is apparently locked up as well. I am not bringing in either of our cars back into the pit lane before the end of this race. Oscar Piastri is just going to have to hang out there and do what he can do, as Bottas now battling with George Russell just in front of him. We've still got 6 seconds to Pierre Gasly behind, but surely Sainz isn't going to pit again before this race is out. I've literally just said it. Sainz's pit in this Grand Prix. Suddenly now the battle for the win is between Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc here. Lando Norris still yet to win a Formula 1 Grand Prix, of course. He saw his teammate Oscar Piastri win one last season. Piastri, I think, is just going to try and sit. Well, he's now going to be up into P7 there, but I think he's going to lose the place to Sainz before this race is down and out. Suddenly, out of nowhere, we were nowhere in qualifying, we have potentially got the opportunity to win the Bahrain Grand Prix, but it is going to have to come on the very last lap. Lando Norris just got to save a little bit of battery and go all-out attack mode on the Ferrari car. There is going to be a lot of micromanagement between now and the end of this Grand Prix. Can Lando Norris do it? Sainz has gained the place on Oscar Piastri there. He's losing about a second a lap to the cars behind, but I just need Magnussen and Alonso to continue battling here, and he hopefully will still be good for P8. But of course, the big one I'm worried about at the moment is Lando Norris. Can he do anything against Charles Leclerc there? 3 laps to go with this Grand Prix. It's now where we've got to start thinking about how we can try and set up a move. I think with just 1 lap to go, I'm going to have to go all-out attack mode. Battery, fuel, everything here. Major tyre wear. We've just got to get to the end, Oscar. I'm sorry. It's got to be done. 1 lap to go then of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and now we've got to tell Lando Norris to go for it there. Charles Leclerc's got a 6/10 lead as we head out of the final corner, but I've told Lando Norris to close the gap. Oscar Piastri is under increasing pressure from Magnussen behind him as Charles Leclerc, last lap of this Grand Prix. Lando Norris is going to gain as we head back down towards turn 1, but his best opportunity is surely got to be up in towards turn 4 there. This will be the chance to make it happen, to start the year in the craziest way possible. Charles Leclerc is going to go defensive from Lando Norris. Will we see the McLaren car get to the outside through turn 4? Lando Norris there trying to make it happen, but surely Charles Leclerc is going to have the inside in towards the next couple of corners. Lando Norris is not going to give up on it just yet. Can't quite find the way around the outside there, but he is still forcing Charles Leclerc off the line as we head back down the hill through turn 4. Has he got enough? Has he done enough there? Charles Leclerc still having to try and defend from Lando Norris. He's going to have one potential opportunity through this DRS zone on the back straightaway here. Opens up that DRS nice and wide open. He's drained the last bits of the battery. Are we going to get to the inside though? Yes, we have! Lando Norris has made it through on Charles Leclerc there to the lead of the Grand Prix on the final lap here in Sakir. I never expected this. Coming into the weekend, we're going to have to try and defend from Charles Leclerc with all our worth through the final couple of corners. Further back, Oscar Piastri has lost the place to Fernando Alonso. But look at this, Charles Leclerc coming back at Lando Norris. Come on, defend in towards the final corner. We've got nothing left in the battery. Will Charles Leclerc go for a dive? He's going to look for it, but Lando Norris cuts it off. And his first ever win in Formula 1 here. That is the way to start the year. Lando Norris has done it. And McLaren are back on top. I have no idea how we've managed that. But Lando Norris has won a Formula 1 Grand Prix there. Oscar Piastri is going to come through the final couple of corners for P9 in the end. It's not quite the result his teammate got, but you know what? I don't think he can complain all too much there. Definitely was not the right strategy with the safety car, but P9 in the end, it's a double point haul for McLaren, and I think we lead the Constructors' Championship as well. That is mental to end the first race of the campaign.
Lando Norris can be proud. What a fantastic performance from him. This podium is a true recognition of everyone who's been working so hard for this result. And after such a fabulous drive here today, it's no surprise to see this man land on the podium. For these drivers, they'll be taking home their trophies and a decent haul of points for their team. McLaren have shown some serious chops here. A good result for the team from Surrey.
I agree, this was all very impressive, and it's obviously the work of a solid, well-run team.
After an intense weekend, the team ends in first place in the constructor standings.
The teams now look ahead to the next round, where they'll duel it out in the sand dunes of Saudi Arabia.
What a storyline here in Bahrain then. Lando Norris, first race victory of his Formula 1 career there. Kickstart the year in a way I'm sure we can hope to maintain there. Charles Leclerc in P2. Daniel Ricciardo, his return to Formula 1. And he's straight back on the podium as well there. Just a 10th clear of his teammate Esteban Ocon. Bottas in 5th ahead of George Russell. Sainz, I don't know what Ferrari were thinking there. That win was in the bag for the Spaniard there, even if... I mean, I don't get why they didn't just put harder tyres on the car. Makes no sense whatsoever to me, but it is what it is there. Fernando Alonso, P8 in his first race for Alfa Romeo there, and Oscar Piastri just ahead of Kevin Magnussen, rounding out the points there. Gasly just misses out. Red Bull walk away with nada from the first race of the year, but of course they did that in real life 2022, and the rest of the year didn't go too badly for them. But what a result that is, of course. Drivers' Championship, same order as our race results there, but constructors-wise, McLaren lead the way, tied with Alpine on 27 points there, so clearly our battle from last year is set to continue there. Ferrari 2 points back as we leave Sakir here. What an insane way to start the year there. Alfa Romeo in 4th ahead of Mercedes, Haas ahead of AlphaTauri there, and Red Bull down in P8. But, I mean, if that doesn't get you hyped for the rest of this F1 Manager season. I don't know what will. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. We'll be back probably, actually I shouldn't say, but I think probably over the weekend with round 2 of the year. I'm sure something will go wrong that will throw that out of skew. But thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you get yourself subscribed for daily Formula 1 content. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.